Play. My name is Will. I will be your Dungeon Master and host for today as we dive into the Dungeon Master's Workshop again after a kind of absence, a bit of a leave, I suppose. So we've been away from it, and I wanted to return to it with a new look, a new fresh idea, and a new kind of focus. So I've broken it down into 3-hour sections again. I'll try and stick them as much as possible, and every week I'm going to think of some new topics to talk about with you guys and to discuss, and for this to be a discussion as always, you know, kind of brief preface, even though I've been DMing for a while, and, you know, about 10 years, ever since I was quite young, and been doing this for a little bit, and streaming as well, you know, doesn't mean that I'm right about anything. In fact, I'm wrong a lot of the time, so feel free to, you know, question me, challenge me at any point, and I encourage you to do the same with other streamers and dungeon masters and any information which comes your way about D&D, really. So, with that being said, there's some pretty exciting things which have been going on this week in Dungeons and Dragons. Quick news flash for you. The Ranger has been revised, which is going to be what we're talking about today, and also there's some new D&D coloring books out, which if you're interested in doing some coloring books, then you can find them, and they look like they might be quite fun. So yeah, definitely an improvement over the PHB Ranger. That's good. Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. Suddenly professionalism, I know. Yeah, well, what can I say? Sometimes you feel about doing some professional stuff. But before we dive into the show, I remind you guys who are with me live that if you haven't followed, hit that follow button and join us today in our adventure. We're trying to hit 30 followers for today, and then there is a tweet as well. When that tweet is 20 retweets, nothing really happens for this show, but it just helps me do all the shit that I do, basically. So if you feel like you want to do it, then there is a tweet for you in chat. So what I'm going to do first of all is go through this, the Ranger and the changes that have been made to it, and then we'll open up the discussion and the floor about changes that could be made, or what we think about it, if it's dead on point, and so on and so forth. So, correct to save, and other folks who are bringing in opinions, save that for 10 minutes time, and we'll dive into that. So let's read what Mike Merles has done in Unearthed Arcana. Let's have a look. So over the past year, you've seen us try a number of new approaches to the Ranger, all aimed at addressing the class's high levels of player dissatisfaction and its rankings as D&D's weakest class by a significant margin. That is true. Those two factors combined to put us on the path to this revision. The revised Ranger retains many of the elements of the class existing. A lot has changed, so it's better to simply dig into the new material to get a sense of how it feels. But at the same time, the release of this revision gives us a chance to talk about how a revised class can best be implemented as part of the D&D game, and how the game will evolve in the future, which is actually a super important point. It's worth reading this stuff. What Wizards are saying here is, if they find a good way to do it, this is how it's always going to be done. And it's also good because it means that these guys are open to change and to revisions of classes and stuff like that, which is someone who plays the game fuck ton, far too much and is healthy. It's kind of interesting, and it's good to know that they are still caring about 5th edition, and they're still very much involved in the game, despite the fact that they have a tiny crew working on it. So, okay, so the material presented in Unearthed Arcana will range from mechanics that we expect one day to publish in a supplement to house rules from our home games that we want to share, from core system options to setting-specific material. So basically what they've said is this will come out in a future book if it goes down really well. In fact, I've already got it open here. So so they basically they told us if we come to implementation, if this iteration of the Ranger or a future revision of it grades high enough, our plan is to present it as a revised Ranger in a D&D sourcebook, which is PHB 2 sounding like, you know. Players can select the original Ranger or the revised version, though DMs will always be free to use only one or the both. Both will be legal for their play. So, as you'll see as you read further, the original Ranger and revised class use almost identical progression tables, even if the specifics of some features differ. With a little work on our end, we can ensure that any new Ranger options we provide work for both classes. So that's the basic, like, what Wizards are saying about it on their end. And then we'll go have a look. I'll actually bring up a comparison tab for you guys. Let me find my PHP in here. And then we can have a look side by side That's the changes that have been made. But honestly, I think they're really good. Just as a initial kind of thought on the topic, I suppose. Let me bring this out here and just skip to the page whilst I'm off the screen. So, Rangers in the PHB are page 89. So, it's a bit of a background on the Ranger for those of you who aren't familiar with Rangers, who haven't played it or aren't familiar with the edition of D&D 5th edition. They are notoriously weak as a class. Not just overall, but particularly the Beast Ranger is just terrible. It is easily the weakest class in the game, and the reason for that is that the way that they have beasts working in the original D&D version, let me bring this up here, is that they can't take actions on their own initiative turn. It means that you have to spend your turn making an action as the creature, and the creatures are generally fairly weak and not particularly strong. So, which makes them really weak because you have to spend your entire turn doing something really bad in comparison. So, this is we'll just do a kind of comparison shot like this. So, let's go down and dive into the new features. So, as a ranger, you gain the following class features: 1d10 per ranger level hit points, same hit dice. Let's see, is that the same? I'm almost positive it is. Let's go have a look down here. So, class features 1d10 are the same. You gain proficiencies in light armor, medium armor, and shields. As the revised, you get medium armor shields. This is basically the same stuff from here. And their class progression tables are the same, as I said. So, favored enemy. Let's have a look. From favored enemy in the past, beginning at first level, you have significant experience studying, tracking, hunting, and even talking to a certain type of enemy. This is important. Choose a favored enemy, blah blah blah, all these different. You have advantage on wisdom survival checks to track your favored enemies, as well as on intelligence checks to recall information about them. You also learn one language of your choice that is spoken by your favored enemies if they speak one at all. So that's kind of okay, but it's actually like really not very good. And this is a core mechanic. So when you think about classes, classes usually run off their like core mechanic, and it's actually really important to check them out. And that's the basis for the class overall, because they gain this again at 6th level and 14th level. So you gain an extra language at 6th and 14th, and they have advantage checks against one type of creature. So they're very specific. They're very specific class. They can only deal with certain types of enemies very well. This has changed somewhat. That is favored enemy before. Revised Ranger, favored enemy. Beginning at first level, choose a type of favored enemy: beasts, fae, humanoids, monstrosities, or undead. This is a much wider category list. You can gain +2 bonus to damage rolls with weapon attacks against creatures of the chosen type. Additionally, you have advantage on survival checks to track favored enemies and intelligence checks, as well as gaining languages of your choice. However, you are free to pick any language you wish to learn. Interesting stuff. So, +2 damage to damage rolls and weapon attacks against a creature. It makes them much more damage dealing. And, yeah, the is now OP'ly revised. I think the damage bonus overall is actually a fairly good change to make about it, because at low levels, it boosts the ranger's power level against certain types of creatures. It gives them +2 damage. At later levels, +2 damage actually isn't all that much. By the time you're at level, 6 to 10, you're actually looking to deal a lot of damage every turn. Anyway, as a ranger, it's not a huge amount of DPS, but it does give them that much needed early game boost that I think they were lacking. And a lot of the reason that so here's a thing about Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and most players can tell you something like this. Overall, martial classes at early levels are very strong in comparison to casters. So, casters at higher levels get ridiculous spells. They can fucking time stop, they can teleport everywhere, they can blow everything up with fireballs and firebolts and you name it. But at early level, they have this limited level of spell slots to use, which means that actually they are fairly well restrained in their abilities. They can do a few things, only a bit. They're quite good at them. However, martial classes like fighters and paladins do really well in the early game, in the early levels, because they can do whatever they want to all the time, and they're just really good at it. However, they kind of, they kind of dive out of play and being particularly relevant in terms of power level later on in the game. However, the Rangers before were in this very awkward position where they were bad in the early game and also kind of bad later game, because they're basically a martial. they're basically a martial class. You know, they rely on shooting things and going after things and attacking them. But there's a few interesting changes here. When we get to, we're looking at spell slots now, which is interesting because we'll get to this in a second. So let's go have a look down. Furthermore, what else changes? So Natural Explorer. So let's go back to the original to keep this in order. So as Natural Explorer, while traveling for an hour or more in your favorite terrain, you have to choose one type of favorite terrain as well as Natural Explorer. You choose Arctic, coast, desert, forest, grassland, mountain, swamp, or the Underdark. You choose from that 8 list of one of which you can do these things in. So difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. Your group can't become lost except by magical means. Even when you're engaged in another activity while traveling, such as foraging, navigating, or tracking, you remain alert to danger. If you are traveling alone, you can move stealthily at a normal pace. When you forage, you find twice as much food as you normally would. While tracking other creatures, you'll also learn their exact number, their size, and how long ago they passed through the area. Okay, it's okay. You get 1 out of 8, which actually will ever work in. Let's see. And I do apologize to those who are watching live. If I do ignore you a little bit, I will read through these comments again. But I do want to kind of keep this nice and focused whilst we're doing it, and then we'll get into all the good stuff about discussion about what you guys think, and we'll have a good old argue about it. So you are a master of navigating the natural world, and you react to swift and decisive action. This grants you the following benefits. In any climate, not out of those 8 lists, not out of 1 of 8, out of all 8. So 8 out of 8 now. You've gone up by 7. You've become 7 times more effective. Or 8 times, I guess. So you ignore difficult terrain. You have advantage on initiative rolls. Big. On your first turn of combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against creatures that have not acted yet. Very nice. Super powerful, actually. Especially if you're playing a stealthy character and you already have advantage on all initiative rolls ever. So that's kind of interesting. In addition, you're skilled at navigating the wilderness. You gain the following benefits from traveling for an hour or more. Difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. Your group can't become lost by magical means, blah, 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 and basically all the same things. But except while tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact number of... Oh, no, that's the same. That is exactly the same. My bad. So all the rest are the same, but the big changes here is any terrain, you gain advantage on initiative rolls, and on your first turn of combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that has not yet acted, which in theory could be any or all of them. When you have advantage on initiative and you're playing a dexterity-based character. So, yeah. Let's dive back further in. So, at second level you gain fighting styles. I believe they are the same. They don't tend to change. Oops. Fighting styles, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry, let me go up to fighting styles. So, fighting styles in the original... choose one of the following options. Yep, same one. So, spellcasting in the original, by the time you reach second level, you have learned to use the magical essence of nature and spells. You get spell slots, which I believe are the same. The tables are the same. Let's go down. So, their spell save is 8 plus prof plus wisdom. Spell attack is prof plus wisdom modifier. I don't believe the magic has changed that much, but I could be wrong. I haven't gone through this with a fine-tooth comb. Yep, I believe that is the same. Okay. So spellcasting ability is the same here as well. So primeval awareness is something which I believe you do not get in the old... Oh, no, you do. Let's see if they've changed it at all. Okay, so I haven't played a lot of ranges myself, so I do apologize for not knowing all of this. And why the fuck are there 2? Oh my god, there's 2 of the frogs. Oh dear lord. Thanks so much to the frog for the resub. Thanks, my man. Let me, the reason there were 2 of the frogs there. Oh, that's why. That is why. Let me bring all the way back up there. But thank you, my friend. I appreciate that, and I salute you, sir. Appreciate it, team. I'm looking forward to many more, my friend. So, Alright, let's go here. So Primeval Awareness. Beginning at 3rd level, you can use your action to expend 1 ranger spell slot to focus your awareness on the region around you. For 1 minute per level of the spell slot you expend, you can sense whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of you. Aberrations, Celestials, Dragons, Elementals, Fae, Fiends, and Undead. This feature doesn't reveal the location or number. Okay, let's see what Primeval Awareness does now. Is there any difference? It is. At 3rd level, you have an innate ability to communicate with beasts, and they recognize you as a kindred spirit. Through sounds and gestures, you can communicate simple ideas to a beast as an action, and can read its basic mood and intent. This is like speak of animals. It's like casting a spell. You can learn its emotional state, whether it's affected by magic of any sort, its short-term needs, and actions you can take to persuade it not to attack. You can not use this ability against a creature you have attacked within the past 10 minutes. Additionally, you can attune your senses to determine if your favourite enemy lurks nearby by spending 1 uninterrupted minute in concentration. As if you're concentrating on a spell, you can sense whether any of your favourite enemies are present within 5 miles of you. Instead of 1? Let's see. Yeah, 1 mile previously has been bumped up to 5, so you've just become 5 times more effective there. If there are multiple groups, you learn this information for each group, which is... wow, that is super cool. So, this is one that I've already just really read through and understood properly now, but Primeval Awareness before gave you 1 mile, and let's bear in mind as well, your favorite enemy used to be out of 1 of 8, I think. I can't remember. There's a very kind of long list of different creatures, whereas now I think it's a list of 5 or 6. And so you're more likely to get something with Primeval Awareness than ever before, and the range of Primeval Awareness has become 5 times larger, from 1 mile to 5. That's pretty cool. So, range of conclaves here at 3rd level. You get the Beast Conclave, the Hunter Conclave, or the Stalker Conclave, all detailed at the end of the class. Whereas... before, your Ranger archetype, they're called Ranger archetypes, I suppose. So yeah, we'll go into those in a minute, in 1 hot minute here. Let me dive back onto this page back in the PHP. But let's have a think about the basic changes that we've just seen to the early game Ranger. When you think about that, it's actually become much, much stronger than before. We've just is this Ranger description? Is this Ranger revised revision that we're reviewing right now? So for the first part, like greater favor enemy gives you a lot more option. Let's continue on a little bit more. So let's see. At 6th level, you are ready to hunt even deadlier game. Choose a type of greater favored enemy: aberrations, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, or giants. You gain all the benefits against this chosen enemy that you normally gain against your favored enemy, including an additional language. Your bonus to damage rolls against your favored enemies increases to +4. Damn. Which scales the level. Additionally, you have advantage on saving throws against the spells and abilities used by the greater favored enemy, which is really strong. Whereas before, let's look what you get at level 5. You get an extra attack, whereas now I believe you do not. Yep, you get an ability score improvement. You do not get an extra attack as a ranger, which is, I'm guessing, how they're scaling this. Balancing this. Fleet of Foot. Beginning at 8th level, you can use a dash action. Whereas before, at level 5, you get an extra attack. Ability score improvements are the same, and you get Land Stride. You also pass through non-magical plants without being slowed by them and without taking damage from if they have thorns, spines, or similar hazard. In addition, you have advantage on saving throws against plants that are magically created or manipulated, such as Entangle. Whereas Fleet of Foot is now, beginning at 8th level, you can use the dash action on your turn. So that's replaced Land Stride, I guess. What's up, Broaderings? So Hidden in Plain Sight is... back in the normal Ranger. At 10th level, you spend 1 minute creating camouflage for yourself. You must have access to fresh mud, dirt, plants, soot, and other naturally occurring materials with which to create your camouflage. Once camouflaged, you can hide, gaining a +10 stealth bonus, as long as you remain there without moving or taking actions. Once you move or take an action or reaction, you must camouflage yourself again to gain this benefit. Whereas Hide in Plain Sight nowadays, When you attempt to hide, you cannot opt to move that. You can opt not to move that turn. If you avoid moving, creatures can attempt to detect you. -10 penalty to their Wisdom perception checks until the start of next turn. You lose its benefit if you move or fall prone, either voluntarily or because of some external effect. You are automatically detected if any effect or action causes you to no longer be hidden. If you're still hidden on your next turn, you can continue to remain motionless and gain this benefit until you're detected. It's very similar. It's very similar. Except that the onus is on someone to look at you rather than for you to hide, which is kind of nice, isn't it? I suppose. It's going well, Broadwings. Yes. Extra type is part of the archetype next to your Beastmaster. Yeah. Which is interesting that they've done that. So let's see. We just want to have a look at the basic ones. Then we're going to dive into the archetypes. So Vanish. Let's see what Vanish used to be. So Vanish used to be at 14th. You can use a hide action as a bonus action on your turn. Also, you cannot be tracked by non-magical means unless you choose to leave a trail. Okay. So nowadays, it is exactly the same. So no change there. Feral Senses, 18th level. You gain preternatural senses that help you fight creatures you can't see. When you attack a creature you can't see, your inability to see it doesn't impose disadvantage, okay? You're also aware of the location of any invisible creature within 30 feet of you, provided that the creature isn't hidden from you and you aren't blinded or deafened. So that's the same. Foe Slayer at 20th level. You become an unparalleled hunter of your enemies. Once on each of your turns, you can add your Wisdom mod to the attack roll or the damage roll of an attack you make against one of your favorite enemies. You can choose this feature before or after the roll, but any effects of the roll are applied, and it's the same at level 20. So they haven't changed too much in the late game, which, you know, goes to show that this is the case, that the early game is where the Rangers were incredibly weak. So let's take a moment here to get some thoughts and feelings on just the basic Ranger before we dive into archetypes. The differences between the before and after. So what's up, robots? How's it going? So it's going good, my man. Yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore, pretty much. One of the things I prefer from the original, Karakdu says, I could choose, do I do 2 attacks or do I attack and let my companion attack 2? These are situations where your companion simply can't attack. Yeah. Well, we're getting to the Beastmaster stuff because they have changed that a little bit. Yeah. There we go. Double Froggo. 1 mile was in your non-favorite terrain. Really? Let's check that again. Maybe I read that wrong. For Natural Explorers, Primeval Awareness, isn't it? You can sense whether your favorite range is present within 5 miles of you. And then the old version was for Primeval Awareness. Let's just go back up here. Prison 1 mile you, or within 6 miles if you're in your favorite terrain. I was wrong. So Primeval Awareness, types of creatures that are present within 1 mile of you, or within 6 miles if you're in your favorite terrain. It's still a huge beast, because a huge boost rather, because what they've done there is they've just, you always get it no matter what. You don't have to be in one of those 8 specific locations to get the bonus. It is a huge bonus. Overall, it's a huge fix for the Ranger and much needed because no one plays Rangers. And no one really plays Rangers because they are just really bad. Unless you really want like the story, like the background, and that's something which is key. When you update a class, when you make a big change to a class, it's really important to keep the soul of the class, which is basically, you know, its theme, its fluff. How does it feel? How does it play? Essentially, Rangers play very similarly, but they're just better at the stuff that they were bad at before. It solves the problem. Well, it solves the problem immediately of the Beast Ranger, which is what I'm incredibly happy about, because I love that idea of that class. It solved the problem of them being very weak in the early game, in comparison to other DPS classes. They can still put out a ton of damage, they still could, that is true, but other classes basically did what rangers do better, and that is, druids did the beast stuff better, rogues did damage better. Now rangers are on a bit more of a fair playing field, which I do like a lot. Huge beast, indeed. They basically got rid of favor terrain. They did, yeah. And I can only imagine them getting rid of favor terrain is because it's just so specific. There's very... Well, I guess there's only a few options where you're always going to be in that terrain, so it makes you more situational. It's a kind of blanket fix to the problem, I suppose. It's quite a blunt kind of instrument for doing it, really. PHB Ranger was crap all around. Yeah, no denying it was crap. Yeah. Beastmaster Ranger was the single worst class in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Like, the single worst class and archetype put together. It's a super weak class with a really weak archetype. I mean, that's not telling you guys anything new, but it needed this fix, and why? Yeah, it's one of the reasons why you've basically, this has been done. And perhaps more importantly than like just the changes themselves. And like their actual effects on the game in play is the fact that Wizards of the Coast are aware of this, the need for change, and that they are willing to change, and that they are willing to implement it in this source book, which they've been talking about too, a future D&D source book. This is the only word we've actually heard from Wizards of the Coast ever in 5th edition about there definitely going to be a future D&D source book for players. We've heard, we've always known that there's going to be other modules. We've always known that there's going to be DM's content. And whenever we asked about player content, we're told that you go to the DM's Guild. Now, the DM's Guild is not really the option to our prayers, not really the answer to our prayers, I suppose, rather. It is, in fact, not the best out there. Sometimes you just want a Wizards printed source book which has been printed by them and playtested by the Wizards team, who have access to 1 million playtesting, and so I am super passionate about the fact that they are willing to do something like this, and that is just super exciting for me as a DM who wants my players to be able to play different things. I love the idea of new material for players, and finally the Ranger and finally the players are getting some love. Because we have had a lot of options in Unearthed Arcana. We've had a few, but there's still enough for me to complain about. All right, so let's dive into Ranger Conclaves. What's up, Alfie? It's been a while, my friend. There was a rumor about the PHP 2.0. I mean, I heard that they pretty quickly squashed any like PHP 2.0. I'm not sure that there's going to necessarily be PHP 2 as they used to be, but a source book with more player options in, at least, would be nice. I always keep finding little typos in the books. Oh, really? I haven't really looked long enough. Now we need sorcerers fixed, and I might have a decent balance. Someone asked me that on Twitter, actually. Now what is the weakest class, they asked. Because if Rangers were the worst before, and Beastmasters were the worst before, what is the weakest class? And I'd say they are fairly well balanced overall. Nothing needs such an immediate fix, which is so broken that no one will play it, or it's just worse at the feel of the class. But I agree that the sorcerers are a little bit on the weak side. Wizards tend to do what they do quite better, just because the wizards are very more kind of versatile class. You can do a lot with it, I suppose. Perhaps the warlock. I see a very few warlocks around actually in the play. Maybe it's just the groups I've been playing with. The purple dragon. But yeah, let's dive back into the Ranger Conclaves so we can continue our review here into Ranger Revised Ranger. So this is what they used to be called, the archetypes, before they've named it something slightly different to understand a bit better. So so the first one that they talk about is a Beast Conclave. So this is all about being a Beastmaster. This is about having an animal companion and having a bear or a diabor or something go around and attack with you and be your companion in RP, which is great, and companion as a opponent on the battlefield. So let's see. So I'm looking at the original here. I'll do the original and then the new. So there's a little bit of reading to do, but bear with me. So Ranger Companion. At 3rd level, you gain a beast companion that accompanies you on your adventures and is trained to fight alongside you. Choose a beast that is no larger than medium and it has a challenge rating of 1/4 or lower. Appendix D presents statistics for Hawk, Mastiff, and Panther as examples. And your proficiency bonus to the beast's AC, which is going to be +2. Attack rolls and damage rolls, as well as to any saving throws and skills it is proficient in. Its hit point maximum equals its normal maximum for 4 times your ranger level, whichever is higher. The beast obeys your commands as best it can. It takes its turn on your initiative, though it doesn't take an action unless you command it to. On your turn, you can verbally command the beast where to move, no action required by you. You can okay, this is very important. You can use your action to verbally command it to take the attack, dash, disengage, dodge, or help action. Once you have the extra attack feature, you can make one weapon attack yourself when you command the beast to take the attack action. So until you get at level 5 the extra attack action, your animal companion is in all essentially useless. Let's be real. Until you get extra attack, it can't command to be huge. Until you have extra attack at 5th level, your animal is a 1/4 challenge rating, which is a really bad creature. It's like a panther or hawk or something. It dies really quickly. It's got your prof bonus to its attacks damage, and it's got extra health pool. Great, but it is so weak that it's not worth spending your turn doing it, because you as a ranger, level 3, put out way more damage. Oh my god. For some reason that one isn't showing the... For some reason I have 2 going. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I got less open. Let me try that again. Well, thank you so much to our good friend Armor Pearson for following. Welcome to the Avenge, my friend. You're a gentleman and a scholar. For some reason Twitch alerts being a bit weird on this one. Anyway, so I guarantee you that spending your entire action to make an attack with a creature... with your beast action, your beast, which is a 1/4 from the monster manual, it's just not worth doing it. You pack out so much damage at level 3 to 5, so for 3 levels it's just irrelevant. You have it around and it takes damage and then it dies. While traveling through your favorite terrain with only the beast, you can move stealthily at a normal pace. If the beast dies, you obtain another one by 8 hours spent magically bonding with another beast that isn't hostile to you, either the same type of beast as before or a different one. From a roleplay perspective, this is an interesting point from how they've changed it now. You used to have to find a different creature and make that your companion, so you never get the same one back, which from a roleplay perspective is either cool, you're like, yeah, it dies and death has consequences, go find another creature, and then you spend some time trying to find another creature of the appropriate level, which is either takes a lot of time or money or resources. But also you lose like your favorite companion, which in you know, some groups people just love their companion and they're just heartbroken when it dies, and you're like, well, you have to go find another one. Whereas now they've changed a few things, and you either love this or you don't like this. You'll either use it or you won't. So with 8 hours of work and expenditure of 50 gold pieces worth of rare herbs and fine food, you call forth an animal companion from the wilderness to serve as your faithful companion. So you don't actually have to physically find one. You call one forth from the woods. You normally select your companion from among the following animals: an ape, a black bear, a boar, a giant badger, a giant weasel, a mule, a panther, or a wolf. However, your DM might pick one of these animals for you based on surrounding terrain. And the point about I was making there, if the companion is ever slain, the magical bond you share allows you to return it to life. With 8 hours of work and the expenditure of 25 gold pieces worth of rare herbs and fine food, you call forth your companion's spirit and use your magic to create a new body with it. You can return an animal companion to life in this manner, even if you do not possess a part of its body. So, it's actually... it actually differs in a fair amount, because you can get the same one back over and over and over. It's much, you're right. It's much easier way to do it. You don't have to go and find another one and spend days doing it in terms of the quest that you're on. And if you don't have the ranger, if you don't have the ability in the story to go out to a forest to find another boar or whatever, then you're stuck. Then you're even more underpowered than you were before, because you're stuck in the Temple of Elemental Evil and you've got to be questing in there for another few days, but it dies, so you can't go out to the forest, go find another pet. But now you can. So it's much easier. but at the same time, you'll either use that rule or you won't. So it's completely really up to you. I like the change personally, but you guys might not. It's totally a preference thing as a DM, and you know that's something that I respect as well. You can a DM might pick one as well. I find all of these rules to be fairly optional. You can use bits of the old one, bits of the new one, I think, if you like it more. So, even though for official play, Wizards won't let you do that. But, you know what I like to do? I just like to, make up the rules. So, that is the, that. But let's see about the rules. So, gains a variety of attacks where it's linked to you. It loses its multi-attack if it has one. It obeys your commands as best it can. It rolls initiative like any other creature, but you determine its actions, decisions, and attitudes. When using your Natural Explorer feature, you and your animal companion can both move stealthily at normal pace, so same as before. So, this is where things get a little different and quite exciting. So, your animal companion has abilities and game statistics determined in part by your level. Your companion uses your prof bonus rather than its own. In addition to the areas where it normally uses its proficiency bonus, an animal companion also adds its proficiency bonus to its AC and its damage rolls, which is the same as yours. Your animal companion also gains prof bonus in 2 skills of your choice. It also becomes proficient with all saving throws, which is actually super big, because normally animal companions get absolutely fucked by any kind of crowd control or AoE. And it also just makes it so frustrating for you as a player when your animal companion, which you have spent your entire action where you could have been attacking, to, attack a creature when it's, tangled, or, restrained, or any kind of debuff or effect upon it. Now it has an extra boost to get away from that annoyance, basically. I like that. For each level you gain... Oh, this is important as well. For each level you gain after 3rd, your animal companion grants an additional hit die and increases its hit point accordingly. And extra important, whenever you gain the ability score improvement class feature, like 4th, 6th, 12th or something like that in Ranger, your animal companion's abilities also improve. Your companion can increase 1 ability score of your choice by 2, or can increase 2 ability scores of 1. As normal, it can't go above 20. Your companion shares your alignment as a personality trait and a flaw that you can roll for or select from the tables below, which is really nice from a roleplay perspective. Obviously, fuck alignment, but let's not get into that. But traits and flaws, I love. Doing more of this is great stuff. Your companion shares your ideal, and its bond is always the ranger who travels with me is a beloved companion for whom I would gladly give my life. Alright, well, maybe that's a little bit kind of Disney. But, alright, yeah, okay. Let's read a little... column up here. So depending on the nature of your campaign, the DM might choose to expand the options for your animal companion. As a rule of thumb, a beast can serve as an animal companion if it is medium or smaller, has 15 or fewer hit points, and cannot deal more than 8 damage of a single attack. In general, that applies to creatures with a challenge rating of 1, 4, or for less, but there are exceptions. So the rule of thumb, do what you want, basically, is what the subtext is there. I read alignment in a WotC product, like, it's really good shit, hashtag fuck alignment. Yeah, I like the increases to their just overall being good, yeah, that works pretty well for me. So your animal companion gains the benefits of your favored enemy feature and of your greater favored enemy feature when you gain that feature at 6th level. It gets bonus damage, advantage on wisdom checks and tracking, advantage on intelligence checks and recording information about it. Super good. And a greater favored enemy plus 4 damage, and the same uses the favored enemies you selected flows features. Yeah. I like the tables for the traits and flaws, nice stuff. Like, I'm definitely afraid of water being a flaw if you have a cat. My idea of hello as a flurry of licks to the face. These are all good stuff from a roleplay perspective, and it makes it does encourage the roleplay slightly more for the animal companion than previously was in the game. So, let's go back to looking at what else they get. So Rangers don't get anything else in the Beastmaster stuff until 7th level. Exceptional training back in the old days. Nowadays, you get coordinated attack. Beginning at 5th level, you and your animal companion form a potent fighting team. When you use the attack action of your turn, if your companion can see you, it can use its reaction to make a melee attack. That's crazy stuff, guys. That's crazy talk. So, let's think about this. So there's a concept in games such as these which you may be aware of. You may not know the term for it, but you might just understand it anyways. It's a pretty you know, it's a kind of obvious thing when you think about it, but it's called action economy. So the theory is if you have one really strong boss creature and it can make one attack per turn against 5 players who are slightly weaker, but they can make 5 attacks every turn, the 5 players are going to do better and they're going to get more attacks, and over time it's damage per second, or damage per turn, I guess, so DPS is how we refer to it in games like World of Warcraft and whatnot. And so action economy is really important. The more attacks you can make, even if they're weaker, overall you do more damage. However, if you can only make one really strong attack, you're less powerful as an opponent on the battlefield. That's why in really good boss fights, you'll see one strong creature who can make a lot of attacks, and he'll have the little minion guys sent out to attack you. It's all about action economy. They can do loads of damage per second against you, or damage per turn against you, and take the players down, whereas the big guy comes along and he's a big health bucket. However, if you've got a boss fight and it's just one big dude, and he's fighting against the players, odds are he's going to be taken down fairly quickly without doing too much damage to the players. So, yeah, combo breaker, right? So, yeah, so that is why this thing is actually really important when it comes to looking at the Ranger Beastmaster and why it's so potent these days. It doesn't get an extra attack, so it has one attack, so you make one attack, but your beast acts on its own turn, so it gets an attack without having to spend your turn doing that. So between you make 2 attacks. If at 5th level you use the attack action on your turn, if your companion can see you, he can make a reaction to make a melee attack. So you can make 3 attacks in one turn as one character essentially at level 5. So the action economy of the Rangers is just gonna like shot up the roof. It's really just kind of put them much more into the fighting game. So yeah, very exciting stuff. There's in fact perhaps one of the most important changes which has been made to the Ranger class in the Beastmaster category, alongside them having their own turn. These combined really have boosted them up. At 7th level in the normal Ranger Beastmaster, you get exceptional training. On any of your turns when your beast companion doesn't attack, you can use a bonus action to command the beast to take the dash, disengage, dodge, or help action on its turn. It's barely worth mentioning. So, Beast Defense at 7th level, while your companion can see you, it has advantage on all saving throws. So, it's not only proficient in all saving throws, when it can see you, it has advantage on that as well, on every single saving throw possible. Super good. Previously, at 11th level, you get Bestial Fury. Your Beast Companion can make 2 attacks when you command it to use the attack action. Beasts just didn't used to get that until level 11. Oh my god, that was stuff. But now when you have coordinated attack, you're making loads of attacks anyways. So at 11th level, your companion can use its action to make a melee attack against each creature of its choice within 5 feet of it, with separate attack rolls for each target. So if the creature is surrounded by, on its square, 8 creatures, it can use its action to make a melee attack against each creature of its choice within 5 feet of it. It could actually make 8 attacks on its turn, and then have a coordinated attack because you make an attack. So you make a total of 10 attacks on your turn as a DPS class. If the beast is somehow surrounded. So the play at 11th level is you send the beast in. You send the beast into a horde of enemies, and then you just get the fucking 10 attacks in one turn. It's ridiculous. I don't know if there's any class which can do that. Maybe there's some way you can do it, but it's fucking ridiculous if you think about that. Like, this probably never going to happen. But Storm of Claws and Fangs, they should do that. So think about how nuts that fucking is, guys. Like, how Beast Ranger has gone from a shitty class to they're like, fuck it, let's give them everything. Release the hounds, motherfuckers, let's go. Obviously, that is a situation which is very unlikely to happen, but if you put him in front of 2 enemies, he's making 2 attacks, 3 attacks, 4 attacks, 1 turn. Not bad, really, for the fact that you've got Beast Companion as well. So it's made role-playing with an animal companion actually viable in combat. Which is incredible, because you don't want to have a game which is a role-playing game which, you know, decentivizes you to roleplay. So there you go. Let's carry on from the madness there. So at 15th level, you get share spells in the PHP. When you cast a spell targeting yourself, you can also affect your beast companion with the spell if the beast is within 30 feet of you. I guess that's okay, actually. Yeah, I guess that's kind of cool. I like that. And now, Superior Beast Defense. At 15th level, whenever an attacker like your companion can see hits it with an attack, it can use its reaction to half the attack's damage against it. So at 15th level, you're doing silly things anyway. It's okay. It's not like it's not really a game changer. Taking half damage is good. It's a bit like, it's almost like a roguish ability, like an uncanny dodge or something, you know. It's pretty cool stuff. Okay then, let's move on a little bit more as well. So that was the Beast Ranger. Now this is the Hunter Conclave, or as previously, it was the Hunter archetype. So at 3rd level, this kind of Hunter is the kind of one that, you know, you try and do as much DPS as possible, basically. So Hunter's Prey, you gain one of the following features of your choice: Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, Horde Breaker. Colossus Slayer, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature takes an extra 1d8 damage if it's below its hit point maximum. You deal this damage only once per turn. Giant Killer, when a large or larger creature within 5 feet of you hits or misses you with an attack, you can immediately use your reaction again to attack that creature after its attack. It's pretty good, Giant Killer. Horde Breaker. Once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that is within 5 feet of the original target and within range of your weapon. So these ones are actually pretty essential to what I would describe as the soul of the class. Colossus Slayer, Giant Slayer, and Horde Breaker are all really important. They haven't changed them. I like them. They're still good. I don't think they needed any changes as such. Like I say, it really was the Beast Ranger which is struggling. But that being said, they have made some changes here as well, which I like. And they've also added an extra archetype, which we'll get to in a bit. So 5th level, you get the extra attack, which is basically at the same level you get the coordinated attack as a Beast Ranger. So you can see there how you're making the same amount of attacks most of the time. The action economy is working out there. They've kind of balanced that fairly well. At 7th level, you get defensive tactics. So let's see. Yeah, defensive tactics. Previously in the PHP, you get Escape the Horde. Opportunity attacks against you are made of disadvantage. Multi-attack defense. When a creature attacks you with an attack, you gain a +4 bonus to AC against all subsequent attacks made by that creature for the rest of your turn. Steel Will. You have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Steel Will is awful because it's so specific. So, why does that come through twice? I don't know, but thanks to CMDL ripped for the host, my friend. So, I'm going to have to fix that on this one. So, let's go and have a look. So, multi-attack. Oh, wait, no, we've got some more stuff. So, Escape the Horde. Multi-attack defense and Steel. You still got the same things. They haven't changed again. Still solo class. Multi-attack at 11th level. Let's see what we get at 11th here. At 11th, we get multi-attack volley. You can use your action to make a ranged attack against a number of creatures. Within 10 feet of you, you can see within your weapon's range. You must have ammunition for each target. It's normal. Make a separate attack roll. Yep. Whirlwind attack. You can use your action to make a melee attack against a number of creatures within 5 feet of you with a separate attack roll for each target. Looks like it is exactly the same. Hunter's defense. Superior Hunter's defense. Looks like it might be exactly the same as well. So they haven't actually changed anything there. So I don't think they changed Hunter's Conclave at all, having looked through this, which is fair enough. They were pretty, yeah, you know, they're okay. Yeah, 15th level, you're doing silly things anyway. This music has creeped me out a bit. So, like I say, guys, once I get to the end of this bit, we'll have a proper discussion about our thoughts, feelings, and emotions on a class. So, whilst I am trying to dive through this without doing too much looking over at the chat and just reading and thinking it, because I get distracted by chat pretty easily. So, Hunter was decent enough. Hunter was good. Well, he is really echoing there. But yeah, so there we go. So Deepstalker Conclave is the new one. So in the PHP, you have two options available to you. You have either the Beast Hunter or the Beast Ranger, or just the Animal fucking Hunter one that I just spoke about here. So that has changed. We now have the Deepstalker, which is perhaps one of the most interesting changes to the class, that they have actually changed everything around here and made something entirely new rather than rebalancing. And it's given some very interesting changes. So let's read the fluff to it, because it's different. So most folk descend into the depths of the Underdark only under the most pressing conditions, undertaking some desperate quest or following the promise of vast riches. All too often, evil festers beneath the earth unnoticed, and the rangers of the Deepstalker Conclave strive to uncover and defeat such threats before they can reach the surface. So we're an Underdark scout. So at 3rd level, you master the art of the ambush, which is previously the hide in plain sight change. So on your first turn during combat, it's similar to that in a way, I suppose. They've given the +10 to a different stat and thrown it into combat. So on your first turn during combat, you gain a +10 bonus to your speed, which is 2 squares. And if you use the attack action, you can make 1 additional attack. So at 1st level, you die at 3rd level, you die in the combat, and you can make 2 attacks at 3rd level, which is pretty cool. If you do that. So, yeah. You're also adept at evading creatures that rely on dark vision. Such creatures gain no benefit when attempting to detect you in the dark and dim conditions. Additionally, when the DM determines if you can hide from a creature, that creature gains no benefit from its dark vision. Yeah, I saw this previously, and Rich is right. This is already an Unearthed Arcana, but they have put it into the revised edition, which means that they like it enough that it's being changed. But this is my first time reviewing it, so I'll go through it all for you guys. So Deepstalker Magic. At 3rd level, you gain Dark Vision out to a range of 90 feet. If you already have Dark Vision, you can increase its range by 30 feet. You can gain access to additional spells at 3rd, 5th, 9th, 13th, and 15th. Once you gain a Deepstalker spell, it counts as a ranger spell for you, but doesn't count the number of ranger spells you know. So you get an extra level, get Disguise Self, Rope Trick, Glyph of Warding, Greater Invisibility, and Seeming. Nothing there which is particularly sexy. Greater Invisibility is nice, but, you know, it's 13th level, you're already kind of on the crazy scale, you know. 5th level, extra attack. Iron Mind, you gain proficiency in Wisdom saving throws. It's pretty weak. Let's look at 7th level Hunter again. 7th level Hunter is getting opportunity attacks are made at disadvantage against you. When a creature hits you, you gain a +4 bonus to AC against all subsequent attacks made by that creature for the rest of the turn. So, I guess, yeah. Starting at 11th level, once on each of your turns, when you miss with an attack, you can make another attack. Once for your turns you miss an attack, you make another attack, so like a reroll. Mechanic at 11th. It's okay. I think multi-attack's actually better. And also, Steel Will, you gain advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Frightened is usually a wisdom saving throw. Maybe an intelligence. Maybe a charisma. Maybe it's charisma based usually. But otherwise it would just be a strictly better ability. So 15th level you gain Stalker's Dodge. At 15th level, whenever a creature attacks you and does not have advantage, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on a creature attack roll against you. You can use this feature before or after the attack roll is made, but it must be used before the outcome of the roll is determined. And that is all that they actually get. The Deepstalker Conclave is perhaps the most underpowered archetype now, when we think about it. And let's bear in mind that it's gonna actually be really good if you're in the Underdark. You're only gonna play a Deep Stalker Conclave probably if you're playing an Underdark campaign, or if you just want the fluff of it. And I can tell you guys why they fucking printed this. They printed this around Out of the Abyss time because everyone fucking loves Drizzt. All the fanboys just love Drizzt, and everyone's just happy to wank off to Drizzt. And it's, you know, it's okay. It's kind of weak as a class. I mean, it's... Yeah, Rogue Trigger's a cool spell, sure, you know. Disguise Stealth is okay. Glyph of Warding, pretty boring. Greater Invisibility, that's cool, you know, for an Underdark guy. The fluff is great, you know, because everyone wants to play that Ranger Deep Stalker, you know, you're from the Underdark and you're excellent in the night. It just needs something. And you guys are right when you said that it's not quite as good. Does it feel a little bit tacked on? Yes. Is it going to be, like, competitive? Maybe. It's kind of in the same place that the old Ranger was. Fuck Drizzt, man. Fuck Drizzt. I can't tell you. What's the underskirt doesn't really float right at all, very underwhelming at all. Paul, would you like to explain your points, my friend? Also, there's a bunch of people here. What's up, Trains? How's it going, man? Play Warwick, yeah. If you guys are new to the channel, do hit that follow button and join us. I'm doing these shows every single week, so I appreciate you following along and joining me. I'm here 5 days a week, 10 shows a week, playing D&D and stuff like this. So if you want to see actual play videos as well, we mostly do actual play stuff. Deep Stalker Conclave, sorry. I think I'm agreeing with you there, Paul. Insofar as... Let's talk about the spirit of the class again, the kind of soul of the class that I was mentioning earlier. It sounds like a super kind of like, ooh, existential term, but really what it means is, does it feel like a ranger? And I guess in some ways it does, but in many ways it just loses that quintessentially like ranger thing of being a scout in an environment and using the environment to his advantage, which I understand that they do kind of get, in that they get the people can't see you get dark vision and stuff like that. That kind of makes sense. But what I would like was to see some kind of effect which allows you to be really good in certain different Underdark environments, you know? That would be quite nice. Maybe you could just copy and paste the well, maybe not copy and paste, maybe you could adapt some ability from the hunter to add into here, or maybe they get an extra bonus to primeval awareness, or something which makes them feel a little bit more rangery, perhaps. And thank you to Necrouge for following. Welcome to the events, my friend. You're a gentleman and a scholar. What's the... Too long, didn't read on Beast Ranger. Beast Ranger is incredibly strong compared to how it was before. Hunter is exactly the same as it was before. It didn't really need the buff, and Deep Stalker is kind of in this weird, awkward in-between place. My critical feedback for Mike Miles and for the Wizards team, I know Mr. Miles is primarily who worked on this one, I believe. The article was written by him, and he's been tweeting about it. Would be that, you know, maybe consider not having the Deep Stalker Conclave, or to update the Deep Stalker Conclave into some way which has a really nice feel of the Ranger. You know, when you think of Ranger, someone said in chat, they see Aragorn, you know, you see Legolas maybe, I don't know. Maybe you see Drizzt, maybe you do. God bless you if you do. But I feel that the Deep Stalker just isn't quite there. It feels like a little bit of an awkward cousin to the others, because the Beast Ranger's got such great fluff to it. It really does. And it's got such great like integrity almost, you know, because it encourages roleplay. It's got a cool animal companion, and now it's viable as a game. The Hunter is great because, you know, it's your standard Hunter. It's like, you know, the Aragorn, the Legolas, or whatever of play. And really, if you wanted to play a Deep Stalker Hunter, I feel like you might just play a Drow Ranger, and then you'd have the Dark Vision, you'd have the spells. It doesn't really give you anything too much new that just playing a Drow Ranger doesn't already give you. Let's see here. So let's get some feedback from you guys. So what are your thoughts on Deep Cave Conclave? Do you agree, disagree? Kitty Wings, Deep Stalkers have a favored enemy benefit, but restricted to things found in the Underdark. I like that. Yeah, I like that. How do I even know I'm experienced DM make my sessions last more than one session? Right, campaign, my friend. Have an overall arch. We're doing a Q&A session in about 2 hours time, so stick with us for that, and I'll do my best to answer that. So Paul, who brought up a point afterwards, before, said, sure, Beastmaster makes very little changes to the subclass, does not address the issues of Beastmaster pets falling off after level 10. If anything, it drives the flaws just as much as before. The base hunter has minor tweaks and feel it's pretty fine. The Deepstalker Conclave needs to be revised if following more meaningful spells to actually make a benefit combat or out of combat. Stalker's Flurry should really be linked to magic casting in combat over the nonsense that they have. Just to start. Wow, you're not a fan here, Paul, are you? So, on the Deepstalker Conclave, I think we're in agreement now, my friend, in that it doesn't feel like they're particularly useful in combat, and the fluff it isn't particularly. I mean, it's okay. You know, the point you made about the Stalker's Flurry, when you miss an attack, you can make another attack. It's okay. I mean, the issue which I actually have with Stalker's Flurry is that maybe it's just not very cool. You know, like, rule of cool. And I feel like if you're playing like if you're trying to make the Deepstalker class like a really cool, like, underdarky thing, maybe you want to do something a bit cooler than that. Who knows? Thank you to House Rule Gaming for the follow. Welcome my friends to the event. You're a gentleman and a scholar. It's good to see you guys. I follow you guys on Twitter. You're cool. It's not very fleshed out. I'd agree with you there, Correcto. I agree. When I see a ranger, I see a dwarf with a gun shooting at me in Warsong Gulch as he stands behind his bear. I wish I had more offensive spells and something more for stealth. I'm in agreement with you, Richard, as well. I think we're on a similar kind of feeling here. When we read through it, it's just not, like, cool enough, you know? Like, okay, let's take the... I hate on Drist all the time. It's partly a joke. I loved the books as a kid. But let's think about that in itself. I mean, let's take Drist, and he's super, like, stealthy. He attacks from the dark. He can kill people before they even see him. You want to be like an assassin ranger. You know, you want to be like a Deepstalker assassin ranger. That's how, like, cool and edgy you want to be if you're playing this subclass. You know, it needs something extra for stealth. Yeah, I think so. It needs offensive spells. It needs offensive damage. They need to be a glass cannon when it comes to hitting things, and then just fall apart when they receive attacks, when they're out in light as well, maybe. Maybe they have a negative to be sunlight situations. That could be interesting, almost like a drow. I like it, yeah. When you, he's a Panther Companion, yeah, true. He's a bit of everything, really, isn't he? Let's see, the Beastmaster makes very little changes to the subclass. I don't think that is necessarily true. Doesn't the issues of Beastmaster pets falling off after level 10? Let's go back and have a look. They seem to be your main complaints there. I think, yeah, Base Hunter, I think the Base Hunter has actually some fairly significant tweaks in how it's been changed as a class as a whole. Underdark scouts have advantage or bonus stealth attacks made in the Underdark over the bonus speed. Yeah, the speed bonus isn't actually all that good, is it? The extra attack on turn 1 is nice. Some more stuff like that feels like the soul of the Deepstalker. Because at the moment it's got all these little things which don't quite feel Deepstalker, you know? Let's go back to the beasts, because they scale with you. Coordinated attack level 5. Advantage on all saving throws is really big. In fact, I think you might be wrong there, in fact, because we were talking about this earlier. The Storm of Claw and Fangs, at 11th level, your companion can use his action to make a melee attack against each creature of its choice within 5 feet of it, with a separate attack roll for each target. You can, like I say, you can make a total of 8 attacks in one turn at level 10 in Fury, and I guess that's how you use the tactics. Against mobs of creatures, you throw your animal companion into the mix, and it does like loads of damage and loads of attacks in one turn as long as it can see you. Let's see, it should have like speed bonus as an example. Yeah, okay. Whenever attacker your companion can see it, hits an attack and use your action to have so what I was talking before about was the martial classes, in which I banned Ranger, despite them being able to use spells. They are essentially a martial class being able to use some spells, and I guess a bit of a hybrid, I suppose. Just a like role in the D&D universe. Martial classes are very good at early levels, and they all kind of fall off the kind of really competitive field at later levels. By the time you're at 15th, you're at 20th, you know, it's the wizards and the sorcerers and the warlocks, even the bards, that are doing stupid things. They are time stopping, they're doing fireballs and firebolts, and 20 a turn, whatever, what have you. They can do some really incredibly powerful things, but at early levels, the wizards and the sorcerers are very kind of limited by their spell slots and how many they can use, whereas at later levels they kind of pan out to be incredibly powerful casters and tools in general. So I think placing the ranger in a very powerful position in early game, which it actually is, the beast ranger gets really quite good, and then kind of curves out quite nicely towards being less effective at later level, I think it's okay. I do think it's actually okay. Because that's kind of the general power curve of the game. So yeah, buckets of dice, there you go. Beastmaster attacks can reduce as they do a minor amount of damage, but most of them do less than no more than 8 damage, which is true. But then you'll arrange yourself. I also don't agree with the resurrection of the beast that was lost. I think that pans too much. People are afraid of losing companion. I mean, most of these points you're bringing up are actually points that I spoke about earlier, and like I said before, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but you can basically just choose any rules that you want to. You can use the old way of resurrection if you prefer that, or the old one now. I don't see any problem in the new one. I think the new one's very useful for a certain style of play, and then the old one's very good for a different style of play, basically. So overall, because I've got to move on to my next topic for the Dungeon Masters Workshop, which is making a character only 10 minutes here. Yeah, most D&D campaigns end around level 11. I mean, most probably end at level 1, really, if we're talking about on the whole. I'm sure a million games are played with only one session, and then groups fall apart and stuff like that, or 1 or 2. I don't have the stats hand, but let's quickly get a summation of our thoughts for Unearthed Arcana, the Ranger Revised. Overall, I think it's great. They have changed the core mechanics of the class and made it a viable class to play nowadays, which is really all that it needed. The Beastmaster has gone from absolutely terrible, the shit tier class and subclass, from the worst class and the worst subclass, to being at least kind of mid to okay kind of class. It's playable now, which is really all it needs. It rewards roleplay with actually good mechanics, which is what the game needs to be a good role-playing game. And perhaps more importantly, like I mentioned a few times, that Mike Mills and the Wizard of the Coast team are possibly going to print another source book with more players material is excellent. The fact that they even revised it as a tool and they haven't ignored it as they've done in the past of other classes and changes which need to be made, it's not just errata. They're going to print a source book. They're going to go all out and answer questions on Twitter and all sorts on Reddit about this. I think it's great. It shows something about the fact that the game is very much still alive, that the developers still very much care about it, and it bodes well for the future of the game when other things fall out of balance and need to be changed, that they will address them and change them. One of the negatives, however, is that the Deep Stalker conclave is bad. In my opinion, it's not particularly flavor-filled, and the mechanics don't seem to play off the fluff material very well. I think if you really went with like the source material and then took the mechanics from that, I think we'd end up with a much cooler Deep Stalker conclave. I still think that needs changes. I'm sure that they will consider them and have another look at it. It's previously printed on Unearthed Arcana, so in theory, the Beastmaster and Hunter rules are newer, so perhaps that would suggest that they will update them again. Who knows? But one way or another, the Beastmaster Revised is an excellent job. It's very good change to the class list overall. It's made rangers viable. I can guarantee you new groups are going to have loads more rangers coming out of the woodworks and from the forests to play the new Beastborn companions, and you have, whatever. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see those classes finally be playable again, show the rangers some love, and more importantly, perhaps, show the players some love, show that the developers at Wizards are willing to give the players something other than just go to the DM's Guild. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the future of Wizards printed materials, the 5th edition. This is a great start. 5th edition is very young still. It's kind of out of its just new phase into its kind of getting towards, adolescent phase, I suppose, as a edition. So it's promising, it's exciting, and we can look forward to much more. So Do I review players' creations? I do on Monday.